Hello BookTube, welcome back to my 2026 library tour. In this episode, the beginning of the final week of the history section of my library tour. So today I'm going to start on the middle section of this big bookcase. This bookcase is kind of weird. It has these metal bars as the frame to the shelf, and that allows for there to be a little wing extension of the shelf on either end, which I covered on Thursday and Friday. So today I'm going to start with this top shelf here and then work my way down one shelf a day until Friday, when I finish both this bookcase and the history part of my library tour. This top shelf is all the history of the United States. So let's get started. First up is These Truths by Joe Lepore. This is a big, comprehensive history of the United States and is very good. Next is American Empire, A Global History by A.G. Hopkins. So this is a mammoth history of the United States that looks at the United States as an imperial state. Have not read it yet, though. Next is Republic of Wrath, How American Politics Turned Tribal from George Washington to Donald Trump by James A. Maroney. So this is a history of the United States with a specific focus of periods in our history when Americans were at each other's throats politically. And to be perfectly honest, this book argues that we've been at each other's throats periodically for a very long time, from the very beginning. This is a pretty good book. I rather enjoyed reading it when I read it a few years ago. Next is Our First Civil War, Patriots and Loyalists in the American Revolution by H.W. Brands. So this is a one-volume history of the American Revolution, mostly from the Patriot side, despite what the subtitle says. The Loyalists get very, 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 very little attention. This book is one of the, basically at this point, yearly H.W. Brands history productions. And I didn't care for it at all. The premise of giving an equal look to the Patriots and the Loyalists was interesting, but that did not happen. Also, I guess that Rick Atkinson pretty much is currently writing the history of the American Revolution for the foreseeable, like the main work, or the it's not coming to me what I'm trying to say, but the most important contemporary history of the American Revolution. He's currently working on a trilogy of them. The first two books, of course, have come out already. The first being The British Are Coming, The War for America, Lexington to Princeton, 1775 to 1777. So this is the beginning of the American Revolution. I read it shortly after it came out. I checked out from the library, and I thought it was good, but I do have some quibbles with it. And I have not gotten around to the second book in the trilogy, The Fate of the Day, which is The War for America, Fort Ticonderoga to Charleston, 1777 to 1780. Annoyingly, this is, I'm assuming, from a different publisher or something, because somebody did not work this to where the two volumes would kind of look good together. It's like, yeah. Ugh. that is going to bug me. If I keep the trilogy, that is going to bug me. Next is A Brutal Reckoning, Andrew Jackson, The Creek Indians, and the Epic War for the American South by Peter Cozzens. So this is a history of Native American removal and conflict. I tried it a few years ago and did not get on with it. I caught an immediate issue with the book. Like he got something wrong, and that can kind of kill my interest in a work of history. If the author gets something wrong that I know is wrong. Next is Indivisible, Daniel Webster and the Birth of American Nationalism by Joel Richard Paul. So this is a look at the United States in the early, mid 19th century. I made it some way into the book before my interest petered out. So make of that what you will. South to Freedom, Runaway Slaves to Mexico and the Road to the Civil War by Alice L. Baumgartner. So this is a history of the American slaves fleeing to freedom to Mexico. So one of the big reasons why the settlers from the United States who went to Texas rebelled against Mexico was Mexico's abolitionism. And gradually, as things, as in the United States, progressed towards the Civil War, Mexico became more abolitionist. And certainly, when escaped slaves made it to Mexico, they were often welcomed with open arms and were protected. And this book covers that. Although it's not to say that things were absolutely rosy in Mexico. In the south of Mexico, there was a system, I think, called peonage, which wasn't exactly like slavery, but was pretty close to it. So this is a look at that. And it is a pretty good book. I rather enjoyed it. Next is How the Word is Passed, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America by Clint Smith. So this is a history in a series of tourist trips where Clint Smith will go to various locations that were instrumental in the history of slavery and talks about the history of the place and his experiences going there as a tourist. It is really good. I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of my favorite books of the year I read it. Next is The Chinese in America, A Narrative History by Iris Chang. So this is a history of Chinese immigration to the United States, and it is really good. I read it a few years ago. Next is The Heartland in American History by Kristen L. Hugginson. Have not read it. Nor have I read Red Heat, Conspiracy, Murder, and the Cold War in the Caribbean by Alex von Tunselmann. So this is a history of American-Cuban relations in the Cold War, particularly the Cuban Missile Crisis. Have not read it yet. And I'm not entirely sure if it is appropriately placed. Next is Nixonland, The Rise of a President and the Fracturing of America by Rick Perlstein. So this is a history of the later 60s and into the 70s. maybe a little bit before then. I have not read it. American Demagogue, The Great Awakening and the Rise and Fall of Populism by J.D. Dickey. Have not gotten around to this. The Lost Promise, American Universities in the 1960s by Ellen Strecker. Have not gotten around to this. Voodoo and Power, The Politics of Religion in New Orleans, 1881 to 1940 by Cody A. Roberts. I think this is going to be a very, very academic look at politics in New Orleans in the time period covered. I tried it a year or two ago and could not get into it. The Polarizers, Post-War Architects of Our Partisan Era by Sam Rosenfeld. Have not gotten around to it. That's the Way It Is, A History of Television News in America by Charles L. Ponce de Leon. Have not gotten around to it. And the last book on the shelf is Newsprint Metropolis, City Papers and the Making of Modern Americans by Julia Guarneri. Have not gotten to this one yet either. So the next shelf is going to be a continuation of United States history with a specific focus on presidential biographies before Vietnam and India. So look forward to that, and I will be back tomorrow with more of my 2026 library tour. So look forward to it.